what I've got to give isn't perfect and gives me a failing grade. Like, in the 8th grade, I totally hardcore failed French and music, and probably something else, though I'm not recalling it. But you know what? I wear that. Like, this is what I'm capable of. I am not musical. Whenever I take a multiple intelligences test, music almost bottoms out. And I'm not very good with languages either. First and only language being English, and I don't speak that very well. I'm much, much better at writing it, I think, or at least I hope. If you've stopped listening to this by now, then that would probably prove to be true. But I guess I just found out something about myself there, because I suppose I was a failing student to some degree. I mean, I figured it out in high school. High school was fine, but I guess grade 8 might have been a little bit of James there. Huh, you learn something new about yourself every day. But there are other subtle elements of James that are uniquely me, like his hate of neckties. Yeah, I wear a bolo tie if I have to wear a tie. The few occasions that I had to wear a tie, I begrudgingly did so, like my mother's wedding and whatnot. And I hope, well, no, she knows, so I don't care if she listens to this. And how James's favorite flower is a rose is, well, that would be my second favorite. My first favorite being a sunflower, because I used to grow them when I was like 3 years old. I had my own little garden off the side of the house that always had these massive sunflowers in it, because that's all I ever wanted to plant. But yeah, so little subtle things like that. If you remember when the hunters are streaming into his house, he stops to notice that they ran through his flower patch. That was kind of a bit of a memory, like, having flowers around the house was something I always did. Apparently once when I was like 2, I went into my mom's garden and picked all the tulips and gave them to her as a bouquet. She never let me forget that. The second thing I get asked most about is my cat, actually, in my author photo. So that was a pretty smart move, I think, on my behalf, putting him up there. His name is Mr. Blue. I originally got him from my brother, who got him from somebody else. His name was Blue, but then I added the Mr. because I don't know, it's cuter or something. And yeah, he's like, I don't know, his like ambition in life is to sit on my lap, and if I ignore him for too long, he has like an anxiety attack and throws up. Because he's purebred Siamese, and apparently they do that. Yeah, so he and my other cat, all my cats, all my animals. I've always loved animals. Like, I grew up rolling around on the floor with this half black lab, half Irish wolfhound, and even at the end when she got really mean, because apparently they do that later in life, where like attack and try to kill the neighbors, and she once beat up like this 200-pound husky or something, which was like twice her size and a male, and she like put him in the hospital basically. Even at the end when she was like growling at my parents, I could still like walk up and pull her tail and pull her ears and lean on her, and I was part of the pack. There's a photo around somewhere of me lying flat out on the couch on my stomach, and I've got 5 cats on me, one on my feet, one snuggled between my shoulder blades, one in the small of my back, one sitting on my butt, and then another in the crook of my knees, and we're all napping. So I say I grew up rolling around with animals, and I guess I really did. We used to tame barn cats, or, well, the wild cats who were living around, we used to tame, and I always had a dog or, some sort of animal. Like, for example, right now, even though I'm living in a small apartment, I have 2 cats, a tree frog, and a toad. And I really, really want a dog right now, and maybe a rabbit, but I just don't have time, space, or money for them at the moment. So yeah, Mr. Blue is my living teddy bear. He has to curl up with me every night, and he'll sit there and paw at the blankets until I let him in. He curls up in my arms and goes to sleep. So he kind of matches my personality a bit, some of the strange quirks he has. So I just thought it'd be nice to include him in a photo, since he's a fine and handsome, upstanding young gentleman. For the sequel, I plan on taking a photo with my other kitty, Harlequin, who is I don't know what you'd describe her as, long-haired, tortoiseshell-ish, I don't know. Bit of a mutt of cats, really. Another tamed barn cat, though we caught her as a kitten. So she'll be in the next photo, and then I intend fully to have an animal in every photo just because I always have an animal. I can't not live without them. I need that. Animals they differ than people, that their relationship with you is a lot less, but in the same it means more. Like that you don't. I mean, you can talk to them, but there's not that level of language with animals that you have with people. So like an animal judges everything you do based on your physical interactions with them. So if you're prone to like kicking a cat every time you walk by, obviously your relationship's not going to be very good. But I mean, there's some people that you could probably like punch every time you see, but have a totally different relationship. So it's a very, well, I'll be careful how I say this, a very physical relationship with animals without being sexual. You know, just throwing that out there as, um, in case of liability or somebody's trying to accuse me of something. So at the end of the day, to sit down next to a cat on a couch, like I'll come home, sit on the couch, and just to have a cat curl up in my lap and go to sleep, purring, and them being so like warm and friendly and obviously loving you, it just means so much to have that. And you know what? I do think that people should be more like that with each other. More prone to hugs and handshakes and friendly pats on the back and that sort of thing. But I mean, everybody's different. So if you need your personal space, stay back. For the most part, I do too. But if I really know somebody, to get within that zone doesn't feel strange for me, though I don't do it because I know a lot of people feel really strange. You can put this to the test is if you're standing next to your friends, just keep inching forward until you find that point where they step back, and then you know how comfortable they are with you. Because I've seen it where like friends who can like hold hands, like guy to girl, and not have any sexual component to that. They're just that close as in a friendship. Yeah, some people might think that's weird, but I believe you can have that kind of relationship with people and animals. It's a lot easier with animals because you don't have that language barrier, and I will call it a barrier. So yeah, long story short, that is why I have a cat on the back of my book. And one other thing I'd like to throw out there about The Guardian before I wrap up this audio thing and try and edit it as best as I can, and I'll probably be up all night on my Mac here because, quite frankly, I fix electronics by hitting them with a rock, and if it doesn't work after that, it's broke. Yes, so if anybody reads The Guardian and I say I model James after me, there's obviously a huge amount of poetic license, artistic license, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Because unlike James, I actually don't hate my parents. I think my parents are pretty awesome people. But the funny thing was, of course, in the mind of a 10 or 16-year-old, you don't obviously necessarily think of every possible end. So I wrote The Guardian, and then I thought, hey, why didn't anybody look for James, and why didn't his parents look for him? Like, why didn't he just, tell his parents, oh, I'm immortal? So after having written, 25,000 words and not knowing what to do with his parents, the easiest way for me to deal with them was to, oh, well, their relationship sucked anyway, so they didn't bother looking for him. Case closed. That was, it's funny how sometimes those types of things work out. Some accidents turn out to be really good because, I mean, it fits, right? So yes, this is the wrap up of this audio segment. I don't know how many people will actually listen to it, and hopefully those of you that do listen to it don't mind the sound of my voice. And we'll tune into the next one, which honestly I have no idea when I'll finish it. Probably 5 or 10 minutes after this, but if I don't do it then, it will be like, I don't know, a couple weeks, a few days. I don't know. I don't exactly have a plan. I think a plan is generally just a list of things that doesn't happen. And you can have like a list of things in your mind that you want to do, and then you just try your best every day to do them. So yeah, drum roll. I'm done. I never quite know how to end these things. So goodbye.